Greetings, Earthlings! My name is Zero Jake and welcome back to Space Engineers. So, last episode, on our way to Mars, we ended up outside the universe. You know, as it happens. Now, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I had a blueprint for the rover. The bad news is, and there's quite a lot of bad news, first of all, I had to rebuild most of it because the blueprint was old, and I've created a new blueprint now, so everything should be fine, and I think this design is kind of finalized at this point. What we also lost was all of our inventory, because all of it was on Adam's ship, the Hoard, which was connected to this one, and I didn't have a blueprint for it, and neither did Adam, so that's fun. We didn't get our mining ship back either. Well, no, we did get our mining ship. I had to make a few adjustments that I made prior to the jump. Yeah, so let's go through things that I've changed on the rover just so that people can be aware. The front, this front section has been cleaned up. Yeah, antenna has been moved down here. We've now got a nanite factory up here because the nanite factory was on the Hoard and we lost that. What else? Yeah, if we fly all the way over here. We've first of all got the mining ship parked here. I've built the airlocks. We've got an additional 2 gyroscopes per side, so that gives us up to a total of 12. And we moved the jump drives down here. I believe that was it, right? Everything else should be as close as possible to what it was. Obviously, once I got to the point where we had everything that we had, I started mining to get more resources, because we did still have uranium in our reactors, and we should be fine. I think we've got a bit less uranium than we had at the beginning now. Let's have a check. Yeah, so we've got 282 here, and we've got, 1.5, 1.3. Okay, good. So we're back up to somewhere around where we were. We're still quite far behind because if I show you this, as you can see, we've not got much, right? Hardly anything. So that's fun. We used to have, I don't know, several 100,000 iron, and now we have a few thousand. And then of course we've got some components, a lot less than what we would have had. I went around stealing stuff from ships. I also need these. I got myself an upgrade in terms of tools. We now have the elite stuff, so fun times ahead. Now, today, noting that we're actually a bit further away from from Mars than I wanted to be, but that's what you get for going to somewhere outside the universe. Anyway. Today what we're going to do is we're going to set up a auto-sorting system, because everyone loves those and we don't have one on the rover yet. I set one up on the Martian base, but as you all know, we had to evacuate the facility when Tom started attacking, so that's fun times. Okay, so what we need to do to begin with is we need some programming blocks, which means we're going to need some steel plate. Well, grab some steel plate, grab some interior, and grab some construction. Right? Yeah? And then what we want to do is we need, let's clear out this. I don't need to add more modules in anyway. We need programming block. We need timer. And we need some LCDs, and I'm going to use the wide LCDs. Right. Safe to say, everyone knows how this works. So what we want, we're going to be using this this corner here to house our timer block and the other thing, programming block. Yes, that. Forgetting everything today. We can't build that. Okay, so what we want is we want 2 wide LCDs here and here, and then 2 more here. Now, these 2 are going to show us our components. This is going to show our ores, this is going to show our ingots. Everyone would be fine. No, only one of them needs to show ingots. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so with those set up, with those being built, we then need our programming block, which we'll place here. And then we need our timer block, which I'll place here, because then we have access to its construction thing. I'm bad at names today. So bad. Right. So again, we are going. What do you mean changed? You're not wanting to program. Yeah. Change to nobody. Change it to me. Interesting. This programming block doesn't want to do anything. Right, give us a second. You willing to work now? No. Interesting. That shouldn't happen. That is a vanilla programming block, right? Yeah. Interesting. No, use this one, you fool. Okay, so we can't use programmable blocks because they're broken. Interesting. Well, we could set up everything else and then I'll relog to see if that's the problem, because usually relogging fixes things. It might be my computer, it might be the number of mods, it might be the server. Who knows at this point? Well, probably someone does. Anyway, so what we want this to be renamed to LCD, and then we're going to do the fun thing of Tim, not time, Tim, and then I want. Oh, come on! It'd be much easier if I had the. Yeah, I'm going to relog so that we can get the programming block up and running. If not, then we're going to have to change plans. Okay, so with that relog and obviously gaining of equipment, thank you. We now have a, usable programmable block. Yay! Okay, right, let's go. So what we need to do, let's press workshop. We want to retrieve the Talden's inventory manager script, and then remember an exit. Good, and that should just do its job. Okay, and then we want this timer block. We're going to name timer Tim. There. What we're going to do is we're going to have a delay of 2 seconds so that we don't have ridiculous amounts of lag on the server over time that this pings. And then we want to have this set up actions, go to programmable block, which I'm also going to rename, by the way, and then run. No, we want run with default argument. Good. And then we want to get the timer again and say start. Good. Good. Now I'm going to do something a bit more complicated, which is this script will only run if a player is nearby, for example. I can use the radar to help me with that, but I need to learn how to do that first. It's not high on my priority list, but it would be useful, because even if someone is on Mars and doing things, as long as the server is online, this thing keeps ticking over, and yeah, that's never a good idea. Right, so let's start this now so that we can do things properly. And then what we want to do is we want to start naming these. So I had a look at the guide again because I'm very bad at remembering things. And what we want is, for an inventory panel, we want inven. And then we want to say what subclass. So we're going to say component. Right? Yeah? Pretty good. And then we want span 1 by 2. 2. Yes. And that should make it so that it spans down here. Good. We can now see all of the things very nicely. Now, here's something, well, the bridge, I'm going to change the bridge section, which is this entire front end here, later. So this is temporary, but we can also have a different LCD panel, right? I'm going to need to create a smaller one, actually. LCD. This one I'm going to be using to change the quotas. Right. So you can see here, it's got quantity and it's got quotas. These quotas are currently generated depending on how many components I have in the system. They have minimums and then they have percentages. Whichever is higher is the one that they use. Now we can manually set those minimums, which means that if we're low on something, like so low that it's like hardly anything, or we have hardly anything in stock, then we can change how much we want. So for example, if I wanted more, if I was going to build, I don't know, a ton of medical rooms, right? I would increase the quota for medical components, which is medical up there. This would mean that the thing generates more, and you get the point. Now what we can also do is we can disable the percentile quotas, which means that we can just have fixed quotas. I don't care how much is in the system, I want this much at all times. More, nice, but not necessary, right? So what we can do is we can go to here, we can go LCD, yeah, we've already seen this. And then we're going to go Tim, quota, component, right? And as you can see, we can see all of those. That does all of them, actually. Yeah. So as we can see minimums and percentages. We're going to go in for a closer look, edit text. So we can see the minimums, which is the absolute minimum that you can have, and then the percentages, which is they count up the amount of components you have in total, and then find, well, make sure that a percentage of that is a specific thing. So for this reason, construction components, 20% of your inventory must be construction components, which means that they'll continue building construction components until that's sorted. But then something else may go out of alignment, and then they just keep going and going and going and going. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change percentages to 0. Oh god, this is going to be fun. Right, yeah, let's do this. Right, 0, take care of you, take care of you, take care of you. I'm going to make sure that there are no percentile stuff, so that when I get to do what I want to do, I'm not hassled by the assemblers constantly running and giving me an increasing amount of inventory. Now we're going to need to change these minimums in order to actually affect everything, since getting rid of these percentile quotas means that we have to deal with it later. Yeah, so if we do that, right, that should realign. There we go. And as you can see, we now have the minimum quotas over here, and you can see that we've got most of them are good. Now, we're going to go back in here. We're going to go to explosives. We're going to set explosives to 0. The reason why I want to set explosives to 0 is because I don't want that. Explosives in cargo containers make them deadly to your ship. Well, I mean cargo containers, if they're destroyed, all their stuff goes flying around, but if there's, I don't know, explosives in there, then all that stuff either gets destroyed or your ship gets destroyed. So we're going to turn that to 0. Let's go back in here. Right, so I want... Okay, right, what we're going to do is we're going to set everything to 1,000. Computers, I want 10,000 computers. Construction components, I want 100,000. Detectors, I want 1,000. Displays 1,000. Explosives 0. Girders 1,000. Interior plate 10,000. Large steel tube 1,000. Medical. We're gonna go with 500 for medical because we don't need that much. Metal grid will go 2,000. Motors 2,000. Power cells 2,000. Radio communications 1,000. Reactor components. We're going to need quite a lot of them, right? So we're going to put it at 6,000, which allows us to create one azimuth fusion reactor each time. Small tube, we want 100,000. No, we're going to say 50,000. Right? I'm basically winging it right now in terms of how much I want. We can change these later. So I want 1,000 superconductor conduits and 1,500 thrust. Right. We do that, that will equal out, and then we can see the actual amount of inventory we have instead of some ridiculous number. Oh, I didn't change gravity gen. I didn't change gravity gen. Interesting. Let's go with 1,000 gravity gen as well. That should make that good. Explosives, no quota, which means that it won't show anything. That's a freighter, okay. Yeah. As you can see, the highest, well, the closest that we have to our quota is thruster components, seconded by superconductors, and then large steel tube. Now, The thing is, we won't be able to have these automatically filled yet. There's going to be some things that I want to add onto the ship before I do that, but that should work, right? This will show us how much we have, and I'll go, oh look, we have no solar cells. If I want solar panels, I want it. We could also manually increase these quotas depending on what we want, right? So for example, if I know I'm going to use a lot of superconductors, then what we do is we boost up the quota for it so that we can prep our facilities to do it faster. Good. Now I'm going to keep the, what I've currently got is the Nanite Factory is currently building anything it needs. Or was, now is. So anytime that the Nanite Factory needs needs components, it will then ask the assemblers to build it. So that should keep our inventory at kind of the same area. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this again, except this time we want inven ingot. And we can see all the ingots we have. Ooh, lovely. And we can see what refinery is currently processing, which is platinum. Now, you could probably already tell what's going to happen here, right? It doesn't take a fool to realize what the next step is. We're going to add another LCD, and this is going to set our quotas for ingots. Yeah, you're seeing where this is going, right? Now, if we had more stuff, I could extend down to here. But I believe we could have this guy, right? LCD colon Tim. We can set this guy to ammo container, ammo magazine, something. Yes. Give me a second. You can display inventory for more than one item type on the same panel by listing them in the tag. So, inven. No, that's not inven. That's Ivan. Inven. So we want inventory, we want ammo magazine, oxygen container, object, gas container, object. No, did that wrong. Yeah. So with those, that is quite long, by the way. What we can do with this is that should now show our ammo, the amount of oxygen bottles we have, and the amount of hydrogen bottles we have. Cool, huh? We can decrease the. We could probably get away with decreasing the font size here down to 0.8. Just so that we have more room. In fact, what we could do is we could separate these into two different panels, which is probably what I'm going to do. So we're going to separate these into two different panels, one there, one there. One of these will be the quota, and the other thing will be the rest of the junk that we have. I need to have a look at all the other identifiers so that I can get everything else we want, because if I go here, we've also got tools, right? And I want to make, well, no. Usually we won't have tools, but I want to be able to see what tools we have. Okay, good. Noting that any modded components or ammunition will only be added to the system if it encounters it. So currently it's listing all of the vanilla stuff because I have no modded components. However, if there are modded components in here, then this list would update to accommodate it with the modded components at the bottom. I'd have to manually set the quotas though, which is fine by me. We may have to decrease the font on this one as well. Okay, right. Yes, let's set up. No, this will be quote. Yeah, so we want quotas here. Okay, right. Yes. LCD. Tim. Quota. And then this is ingot. Quote. There we go. And so as we can see, 88% should be iron. Okay, so we're going to change. We're going to do this again because we all love this. Yep, we're going to get rid of all of these percentile ones because I don't want them right now. Maybe in the future I'll have them, but for now, no. Right, so we have that. That should even out. Good. As you can see, it's now just all to full because that's how things work these days. But now we're going to change this. Right, so I want 50,000 cobalt. I want 5,000 gold. I want 200,000 iron. I want 5,000 magnesium. I'm basically timesing this by 1,000. Yeah. In fact, no, I want more uranium than that. I want 5,000 uranium. Good, right. With that, that should re-equalize itself. Excellent. And we can also see the uranium that we have. Yes. Noting that stone is gravel, by the way. Just in case you're wondering. So we can see all that we have. We're over what we want on iron. So in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go access this. I'm going to set this to 500,000. There we go. We can change these quotas later. Good, right. You were set. Oh no, I destroyed the panel. I'm going to have to rewrite it. Oh, I hit myself. That's an unknown signal. Ignore it. Okay, right. Let's do this again. Tim, then. Here we go. Ammo magazine. Oxygen container object. And gas container object. Excellent. So we can see, I don't care if there's no bar there, really. If we have more types of ammo, it will display more ammo types, and we can decrease that to whatever I've currently got it as. Yeah, that's 0.8, thank you. Okay. Yeah, that should have a tiny little bar there to show us how much we have. Now, we don't have quotas enabled on ammo, so what we will want quotas enabled on ammo, by the way. So, what we're going to do is, because it's going to be easier this way, I'm going to copy this. No, thank you. Right. I want to get all of this. Okay, I want to access this. We do the hokey cokey. Right. Tim quota paste. And there we go. We can see we can set minimums and all this sort of stuff for everything, right? And if I'm not sure what the system name of a modded item is, it will display itself here, making it easier to automate everything. Hooray! Right, that should be that. Yeah, we have all the panels in the universe. Now I could change that color. So I'm gonna keep components as white, and that as white. I want to change this to some kind of yellow. I can change the background. I did not know that. Right. Okay. Right. Let's make this a kind of yellow. I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, definitely. Right. If we do that, ugh, murky yellow. No, let's do that. Right. Lovely. We'll also do the same for this one. So what percentages do I have? I have 25, 21359. So 21359. Right. Excellent. And then we'll set these to be some kind of blue. So we want to decrease this and this. Right. Let's set these to standard stuff, shall we? 50, 150, 255. 50, 150, 255. Good, right. Excellent. So we have the white stuff, which is blinding, which I should probably change to some kind of red. You can see where this is going, right? In fact, no, I want to make it slightly green. So we're going to set this to 140, set this to 140. Good, right, that's not blinding my eyes anymore. Excellent. We want 140, 140, and we want to change this one as well. Excellent. So that should be that. We've got the program running. We've got everything coloured so it's not blinding my eyes all the time when I look at it, because, you know, white is just everywhere. We can also change the background if I wanted to, so I could have black on white if I wanted to, but, you know, we don't need that. I love how there's, you know, glow around them, so it's easier to read. Good. Right. Now that that's done, we've got one final thing to do, and that's to change all of these into Tim approved tags. Tim. Have I forgotten how to do it? Did that work? So for example, if I throw this in connector, will it just... Yes, it will! That's how we roll. Okay, good. I was just making sure there wasn't any additional tag that we needed. So we can do this as well. Tim ingot. Right. And then that should just grab all the ingots in the universe to it. So if we look at refinery, then we can see this. Now here's a fun thing. We can go to refinery. Right, we want to see the refinery, mate. Thank you. And we can go like this. Tim, no. Tim auto. And now, Tim will automatically manage these, right, when it's on. If it's not on, then it doesn't. So it's turned off the conveyor system, so it won't automatically use it, but now it will automatically sort everything. So if we look at refineries, anytime that we add in more ore to the system, it will balance it automatically, which is excellent. And if we're at capacity for some ingots, then I believe it won't process them. I'll have to look into that, but we're good. Testing sorting system, throw stuff in there, it gets thrown back. All's well that ends somewhere. Right, so that will do it for this episode. I'm going to continue the journey to Mars, which seems to be the only thing that I'm doing these days. And we'll be back next episode with some more space engineers. We could be, I don't know, redesigning the bridge. We could be adding some form of production bay module thing onto the side of this area, you know, where the landing gears are. No, where the maglocks are. We might want to change that. We might be adding a bridge to the top. Who knows? Probably me in about 48 hours. But until then, my name has been Zero Jake. End transmission.